From Fox News, blue state judge attempts to stop Border Patrol from arresting suspected illegal immigrants without warrant. Border Patrol argues it's changed its procedures, making ruling irrelevant. This is a weird story.
Deport her to the crystals.
A California judge, I believe it's a guy, isn't it?
Oh.
A California judge, but it's funny. Actually, it is a woman. A California judge on Tuesday demanded Border Patrol agents allow people they think are living in the U.S. illegally to stay in the country unless authorities have a warrant or reason to believe the person may flee before they can get one. U.S. District Judge Jennifer L. Thurston ruled on Tuesday that CBP agents in the Eastern District of California cannot stop illegal immigrants without reasonable suspicion or deport them via voluntary departure unless that person is explained their rights and agrees to leave, according to a report from the AP. That's right. In California, they said that if CBP finds an illegal immigrant, they have to ask them politely to leave. And if the illegal immigrant says no, they can't do anything about it.
But if they're an illegal immigrant, is that not reasonable suspicion?
Yes.
Okay, then how is she saying that?
I can talk about this in detail. Number one, she doesn't have the authority to say that because she's a district judge. So district judges and immigration judges are two different things. The district judge is overseeing a lot of times criminal cases that have nothing to do with immigration. So when it comes to immigration, as an immigration enforcement officer, and there's only a couple agencies that have Title VIII authority, it's Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, ICE Enforcement Removal Operations, which are both under the umbrella of ICE. You got Border Patrol, and then you got Customs and Border Protection, CBP, OFO, blue uniform, and then Border Patrol is green uniform, both under Border Patrol, both under Customs and Border Protection. A little confusing. And then FBI has limited Title VIII, and so does CBP, Air Office of Air and Marine, AMO. Now, the reality is you can conduct something called an immigration inspection, right, where you're determining someone alienage. So if you live on the southwest border, if you're like, the Border Patrol checkpoints all over the place, and you go through, they say, of what country are you a citizen of, and you have to respond whether U.S. citizen or whatever. That's considered an immigration inspection and them determining your alienage. So an immigration officer can absolutely ask you, hey, what is your status in the United States? And if you don't want to tell them, they can actually fingerprint you and figure it out under the Department of Homeland Security Act. So this is another example of an overzealous district judge thinking they know what they're talking about. But when it comes to Title VIII authority, we can absolutely ask and determine alienage, and the judge can't say shit about that.
The issue that we've got right now is that no matter what Trump does, they're claiming it's unconstitutional, despite the fact that universal injunctions and things like this are unconstitutional.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Okay. I was on Piers Morgan earlier, and Cenk Uygur was on, and Sri Tenadar. They're all saying everything he's doing is unconstitutional. He's doing all these unconstitutional things, and I'm like, so are Democrats. What does this mean? What does it matter? I got to be honest. I'm sitting here as a guy who reads the news all day, every day, watching Democrats scream that Trump is doing things that are unconstitutional while they do the exact same things, and I'm just like, for what purpose are we even debating it at this point?
Yeah, and even this immigration thing, the habeas corpus is a whole other conversation. But when it comes to determining alienage or, hooking somebody up for being an illegal alien, that's 100% under the INA and Immigration Authority. A district judge has no say in that, unless it's criminal. But the thing is with immigration is a lot of these cases end up becoming administrative, which have nothing to do with the criminal court process. So, her saying this, you can go ahead and yap all you want. But at the end of the day, determining alienage is 100% within their right to do so if they're a Title VIII enforcement officer.
We're looking at this potentiality of Trump may be suspending habeas corpus, which, again, it appears under Article 1. So the argument is that it's a congressional power. A legislative power, not an executive branch.
And here's the other thing, too, I'll tell you. This is how they stop terrorists a lot of times. They're a little secret that nobody knows about. In these joint terrorism task forces, right, JTTFs that the FBI runs, HSI is one of their most important partners because a lot of the times the FBI can't gather enough evidence for actual material support of terrorism. So what they have to do a lot of the times is go the immigration route. And there's many different ways that you could go after someone, whether it's denaturalizing them if they're a U.S. citizen, getting their green card revoked for, certain violations, or just getting them deported outright. That is how a lot of times these terrorist plots are thwarted, is through immigration enforcement. Why? Because immigration enforcement gives you way more latitude to get things done versus through the criminal court.
We were reading an article from Matt Taibbi the other day about whether or not we're in a soft civil war. And he was talking about how 200 security officials and diplomats had written this letter saying it's time to mobilize to defend our way of life. And I see that, and I've been thinking about the population collapse quite a bit because I've been talking about it nonstop. Everybody listens knows. And I'm looking at the immigration thing, and I see it all together. And it's probably still surface level because I don't know everything that's going on. But it really does feel like there are two universes, two realities that are fighting. Both are completely aware of what the other represents. The Democrat side is the law is what we deem it so. These are the textualists of the Constitution. It's just whatever is written there as we interpret, as opposed to what did the founders mean. And their worldview is There's not enough people. That's a good thing because climate change is a bad thing. And you shouldn't have kids. You should get abortions. But also, we're going to open up the border and flood the country with millions upon millions of illegal immigrants, which will fundamentally alter the moral tradition and foundation of the United States. Then there's Trump. America is great. We have these structures in place. Here's what they mean. Here's what they meant. And we will use what powers we have to defend this country. The problem is both sides represent there's an end to the United States. And it's not that Trump is doing something well, I'll put it this way. What Trump is doing is desperately trying to pull the plane out of a tailspin and stop us from crashing. What the Democrats are doing is saying, you're already cooked. We're going to flood this country with people. Otherwise, the system crumbles anyway, and we're going to transform it into something else. It's going to be a global country for all people, multicultural with open borders. And Donald Trump is saying, keep America, America, but there's not enough people. So I bring this up because thinking about what this judge is doing, okay, it's psychotic. Like, as you're mentioning, judge can't do that.
Yeah, she doesn't even have the,
This is not the first time we've seen a judge basically say, I can say and do whatever I want. I believe it was Judge Boasberg who said that he had equal powers to the president.
Insane.
Absolutely does not. It's absolutely untrue. But they don't care. And so the issue is, whatever's going to happen, you've got two distinct worldviews that want control of this country, and they are headed for a collision course, whatever that means.
And the other thing too, right, is like, so, and we were talking about this earlier, like the problem with a lot of these liberals and these Democrats is like they're trying to paint Trump as like some crazy fascist or whatever because XYZ. Like the perfect example went down in Minnesota or Milwaukee, wherever it was, with this judge that tried to block these agents from arresting this guy that was illegally here, right? I saw every big left-wing political commentator, so this is fascism, look at this, Trump is arresting judges, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that judge broke the law. I mean, if we're going to go through it, that illegal alien that was there, and I'll go through this nice and factual so everyone understands, and I literally can debate any liberal on this because they don't know immigration law and they're stupid. It's very simple. Yeah, let's go through this because every single one of them gave this same exact talking point. He's arresting judges now. This is fascism. Okay, here are the facts. This guy was arrested back in 2013. I think Flores Ruiz is his last name. He was arrested back in 2013. He was arrested in Nogales, Arizona, right on the border. He was brought in. He got caught. Border Patrol gave him what's called an expedited removal, ER. That is good because they get deported within 2 weeks. They don't really see an immigration judge because they got caught on a load. They're not supposed to be here, inadmissible, boom. So that means he can't come to the United States. He comes back in again. He gets caught. He gets arrested for domestic violence, and he goes to see the judge. Immigration obviously is aware of this. Maybe there was a detainer put, whatever, but they know that he's here illegally and he's there. He's at the court thing. Yeah.
Was the victim a man or a woman?
I think it was his girlfriend or wife.
Okay.
Misdemeanor domestic violence, basically.
On Fox, they said he beat a man.
Okay.
But then a separate time, they said that there were two female witnesses there seeking justice. So
okay. I know it was a misdemeanor crime of DV, either or. So people are getting mad, right, saying, oh, well, because then what happens is this is very important. So the agents go to the courthouse and they are talking with the bailiffs. Hey, look, we're here to effectuate an arrest. This guy's coming here, etc. The guys say, okay, courtesy, whatever. Now they're giving a courtesy by even saying why they're there. They don't need to tell them why they're there, but they go ahead and they stay there. Then they wait outside the courtroom. The defense attorney comes out, and I read this all in a criminal complaint. The defense attorney comes out, sees them. Obviously, cops look like cops. Hey, these guys are probably feds. They're here to pick this guy up. So she goes and tells the judge. Judge comes out angry, tells him, hey, what are you guys here for? The deportation officer is an idiot. He goes, oh, yeah, I'm here to pick up this guy. Do you have a judicial warrant? That's irrelevant. This guy's illegally here. He's ordered deported by a judge. He's not supposed to be here. He was expedited removed. Whatever. So she takes him to another judge's chambers, the chief judge, while she has her hearing. Luckily, the DEA agent that was there, that was a part of this arrest task force, is sitting on the bench. They didn't identify him. So he has eyes on the guy. When the guy finishes his court appearance, Flores Ruiz, the judge takes him through her chambers, which is something that you never do, right? No one goes to the judge's chambers except for agents a lot of times, her and her staff. She takes him through her chambers and then goes outside the side. Now, the DEA agent sees this and he tells the other guys, hey, just so you guys know why you guys are wasting your time in this other judge's chambers because he's trying to call his boss and stuff, why he's there, explaining himself for no reason. The guy gets an elevator with his defense attorney. They're talking to each other in Spanish. DEA agent is there listening. They don't know he's an agent. They get outside. He's telling the guys, hey, come outside. He's out. He's out. So they go out and they identify themselves. Foot chase ensues. They go and grab him. Now, here's the problem. The reason why they go to the courthouse to do this stuff is because they know it's sanitary. They know he doesn't have a gun. He doesn't have a weapon. It's a safe place to effectuate the arrest. We do it all the time. I used to do it all the time, right? So when this judge purposely took them around the side, didn't let them, be there and make their lawful arrest that they were supposed to make, she obviously obstructed them, and I would argue 8 U.S.C. 3024. Anyone could look this up. There's a substatute in there which entices or enables aliens to stay in the country illegally. Now here's the other thing. For people say due process. He shouldn't even have been here in the fucking first place to be able to commit that domestic violence. So there is no due process for him because he was ordered removed.
There's another question for a federal outside of immigration.
Yep.
In that this is a man facing criminal charges.
Yep.
Ignore immigration. Let's say a guy, an American-born guy, his name's Cletus, and he mercilessly beat his wife. Mm-hmm. And he comes into court, and his wife is there with her, mom, and they're crying, and they're like, look what he did to her. And the judge goes, I'm going to sneak you out of here. And then takes this guy accused of mercilessly beating his wife, shuffles him out the back door and says, run for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a crime too.
Yeah, it is.
So outside of immigration, there should be other federal charges on this.
And the thing is, like with these guys, they're being really nice, very polite. Because I get it. You're there in a state court. You're there to conduct an arrest. You don't want to create problems. You kind of want to be able to do this later on in the future. But the judge got in the way and obviously obstructed. So 100%, she's in the wrong. She deserves to go to jail for that. And all these, Democrats are going wild because literally, dude, it's like they all gave the same talking point. Trump is a fascist. He's arresting judges now for doing their jobs. They're standing up for due process, blah, blah. But what they don't understand is that guy didn't deserve due process because he shouldn't have been here in the first place.
No.
The Democrats don't get this. They're
Hold
idiots.
on. This is the gaslighting, okay?
I was so pissed. I was like, I saw this.
Everybody gets their due process.
Yeah.
Due process does not mean criminal trial. Due process, legally defined, is the fair treatment under the law. Illegal immigrants get fair treatment under the law.
Yep.
An ICE agent will stop them and say, I have reason to believe you're not a citizen. Can you show me some ID? If they can't, they say, okay, come with me. We're going to come and check out who you are. Turns out he's not a citizen. Expedited removal. You don't even go to a judge.
Well, here's the thing. If you got ordered expedited removal, I don't even got to do all that. I just take them. Like, and that's what I'm trying to say.
You
Like
put them on a plane, though, right?
Yeah. But the ICRO guys that were there, like, look, I get it. They were trying to be polite and professional, but honestly, they didn't even have to let him go to court. If it was me, if I was there and I was leading that team, I would be like, I'm just taking him. Like, this judge is being a pain. She's trying to distract us. I'm just taking him. You guys can't do anything about it.
This is the important thing here. The media, I believe, has successfully gaslit the Trump supporter base and conservatives into believing that due process means jury trial.
Oh yeah, due process might be no jury. It's just whatever the righteous legal path forward is the due process.
Exactly.
Whether that's trial or no trial.
So now I'm hearing from all these conservatives saying he shouldn't get due process. No. No, they should all get due process. What is fair to someone who illegally entered the country for us to quickly send them back?
Honestly, his due process is you're under arrest for being here illegally. That's his due process because he's already been removed. And like, again, this is why, and I don't blame people for not understanding this stuff because immigration law is very nuanced and complicated. So unless you worked in it, you're not going to know this stuff. But the reality is, like, for all these liberal talking heads, like, they don't know what they're talking about. And I could debate any of them on this. Like, the guy shouldn't even have been in the courtroom in the first place and gotten this due process that they're crying about. Shouldn't have been here, was ordered removed, got an expedited removal, cooked.
I'd argue if a dude attacked a police officer and with a gun and was threatening and going to shoot and kill the police officer, and the police officer shoots and kills the guy got his due process. That's exactly what was supposed to happen illegally to the guy if he was threatening the life of a police officer.
It's not quite.
That's a form of due process.
Well, I'm gonna half agree with Ian. I understand the point he's trying to make.
Yeah.
That are you treated fairly under the law? And if you're a dude who's threatening to murder a cop and the cop, seeing a threat to his life, defends himself, you were treated fairly under the law. It's a tragedy, but you created that circumstance.
Yeah.
Nope.
And I also want to say
trial.
here too, it's very important and again, I'm speaking about this in immigration. This is why, like, when it comes to like the anti-Semitism stuff, that's a bit different because these people were legally here and they're kind of using some nuanced laws to try to justify removing them. But with these other individuals, like this guy Ruiz or whatever, like, he was literally removed and an immigration judge already deemed them as like, you have what's called a final order of deportation, which means you don't even get to get like, you're cooked. Like, you get deported anytime an immigration enforcement officer encounters you. So that's kind of what it comes down to. But the problem is that since so few law enforcement actually have Title VIII authority or even understand it, they can't enforce it properly, or they try to stay away from it, which is why so many people go to places like Denver or these blue states because they won't even bother asking. And even if they know that they're illegal, they won't even try to call ICE or they won't hold detainers or any of this stuff, which is a big reason why we're in this problem in the first place, where these law enforcement agencies are scared to even touch Title VIII.
we're coming up on the age of people thinking that it's okay, because I think law doesn't mean good. You might have evil laws. The people that hid the Jews from the Nazis, for instance, might have been doing a righteous move, even though it was illegal. So you're going to see this conversation about, is it righteous to break these laws, to harbor illegal aliens? That's going to be the big conversation in the next 4 years.
That's already the conversation that's being had. There are people that are. There was I don't know if it was a senator or a congressman that was saying that it's the moral thing to do. The judge that was hiding the illegal immigrant, that he was doing something illegal, but it was the moral thing to do. They're already making those arguments.
Well, that is deeply runs through me as well, because I don't always adhere to the law. If it's an evil law, you have a moral, righteous duty to defy the law.
No, it's not a moral thing to hide someone that has come here illegally. That's immoral. Because
think about this though. What if the laws get changed and now it's illegal for some other thing that's like that really shouldn't be illegal?
You could come up with all kinds of hypotheticals, but the fact of the matter is, the people that have come here illegally, the intent is to dilute the voting power of the existing American citizens. It is not moral to allow them to stay and harm the American people by making their vote have less power.
And there's also a very illicit industry that literally runs off of this. It's called at USC 3024. It covers human smuggling and also harboring. Like, there's stash house operators all over the country that literally hold groups of illegal aliens there, and get paid a lot of money to hold them there. It's almost like it's actually more lucrative than drugs in a lot of ways.
Yeah, because you can, like, when it comes to a child that's being sex trafficked, that child can be raped 10 times a day, as opposed to you sell whatever. Some coke, and they'll take.
Yeah, human smuggling is a very lucrative business. And the thing also that I need people to understand when it comes to like illegal aliens, a lot of people say, well, they're just trying to come here and find a better life. What people don't understand is, okay, let's assume they're coming in here and they're trying to live a better life. They're still funding and helping operate an illicit multi-billion-dollar business that facilitates the illegal movement of people into the United States. Yeah. That also goes into other crimes as well.
People
you can't come to the United States without funding a human smuggling organization to some degree.
People need to watch The Sound of Freedom again, like rewatch that.
Oh, that intro.
I watched it a couple weeks ago, and it is horrible. And there is far too much bad that comes with illegal immigration than to ever think that allowing them to stay is moral.
Well, I'm thinking about this girl
if you send them out.
Got deported.
That scene where Wiesel says he quotes the Bible as he's catching the predator.
Yeah,
like, that movie was fantastic.
Well, the guy that Tim Ballard used to be an HSI agent.
Yeah, of course.
He left a long time ago. It changed a lot since he's been on the job. But he used to literally be, I think, out of our Arizona office back in the day.
When I'm going hard on the legal stuff,
Phoenix maybe.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
He's great, by the way. We interviewed him on this show.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal human being. The girl that got deported for being anti-Semitic. Now that is like, they just made that illegal.
The one out of Somerville, right?
I guess it's out of Somerville.
They
passed a law like a month ago or something.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's not what they used.
What did they do?
They cited their authority under the INA to deport anyone they deemed a national security threat. That's it.
It's I think the statute that they're using, Marco Rubio is using one where any alien that allows them that makes foreign policy more difficult for them we
went over this bill because what happened was I got it wrong. I thought it was I can't remember the section numbers, 273 or something, that states that they can at any time revoke a visa, and then we actually fact checked it, and it was like 3 something of the INA that states.
I think it's a foreign policy one. It's under 237A of INA.
It's something like that. Yeah. The specific provision is if they pose a threat to U.S. national security.
And that's like, if someone's like, I don't like the way Saudi Arabia is cutting people's hands off. They're like, well, we need Saudi Arabia to defend the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. So you're a national security threat by saying that out loud.
Now in that example, right, I would agree with you because they're going
after her. So that's not a good thing for American free speech. Because you have the right to criticize Israel and Saudi Arabia and any of these.
Foreigners do?
Even if you're at war, technically you're supposed to still be allowed to at war.
Yeah, there's case law that protects foreigners for political
I am
speech.
not ever going to be okay with allowing foreign people to come to our country to dictate by protest what we do.
Well, just think,
just think about
it is legal.
Think about
sorry, I'll let you finish. Well,
just think about how the freedom of speech is actually protected in the Constitution. It says Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Congress isn't making a law. They're saying we're revoking your visa.
Because of a law that's already on the books.
No, not law. There's no law.
Hold on. We got to clarify that because the interpretation of the First Amendment extends well beyond making a law.
But that's fair enough. But what's being done is revocation of visa, and the Secretary of State can revoke for a bunch of different reasons.
But I want to say, like, I hear what you're saying. I don't care. The idea that we'd be like, By all means, come to the United States. It's a privilege to be here, not a right. Enjoy our luxurious economy and and all these wonderful things. And then you go, I am now going to protest against you. I'd say, get out of my house.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It's not that they're protesting. It's because they're protesting against Israel. Like this girl, for example, that we're referring to, it was a Turkish girl. She got arrested by like 7 ICE agents, by the way, up in Somerville, Massachusetts. I think she goes to Tufts. She got arrested for writing an op-ed that was critical of Israel. She didn't mention anything about Hamas. She literally just talked about boycotts and how she doesn't like Israel and how they're killing people. And she got arrested for that. And I think that is a problem.
And the U.S.
Even though she's not a U.S. citizen.
So we had this guy, Pisco Liddy. We were debating this. And I asked him, is U.S. foreign policy aligned with Israel?
A lot of the times it is, or we try to force it to be.
It is.
For their benefit,
I mean, surface level it is.
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
Is it a threat to our foreign policy to allow college students to come in and start proselytizing, advocating, or protesting against one of our allies in the Middle East?
It's a threat to Israel, not to us.
It's a threat to our foreign policy,
which is dictated by Israel. Which, I mean, if you want to make that
the point is simply this: we can get into the deep nuances, but that's not what matters. What matters is it's legal under the law. I understand what you're saying; it's selective enforcement, and I'm not a fan of that. Yeah. Like, just because some chick wrote an article, they're saying get out. Oh, come on. There's a lot of articles written by a lot of people who are against our, how many people have been deported because they're critical of the war in Ukraine? They came over here on a visa and then said, we shouldn't be funding or being involved. They're not getting deported. So
they're not.
Look what happened to Gonzalo Lira in Ukraine criticizing the Ukrainian government.
He got killed.
Yeah. The point I'm making is, if somebody came into my house.
Sure.
And they knocked on my door and said, hey, I see that you guys are having a pizza party. Can I come in? I'd say, you know what? You pitch in for the pizza. You can have some pizza and hang out with us, but you're not one of our roommates, so just be nice. They walk in, kick their shoes off, sit down, and then look at one of my roommates in the face and say, that guy is a disgusting piece. I'd be like, get out of my house. You're a guest here. You have no right to come in here and say these things. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.